For months, my life had fallen into a miserable loop. I found myself pleading with my wife for affection, for a little respect, for even the smallest slice of her time. Each day felt like I was tiptoeing over glass, desperate for her approval, yet never measuring up. No matter what I did, I failed. If I stayed late at work, she claimed I didn't care. If I came home early, she complained that I lacked ambition. I tried everything. Cooking meals, bringing her small gifts, taking her out, yet she brushed it all aside like it was worthless. At some point, I lost sight of who I was. The confident man I used to be had been replaced by someone drained, hollow, and desperate. Every disagreement ended the same way. Me apologizing, even when I wasn't wrong, just to keep things calm. I convinced myself this was love, sacrificing my happiness, so she could have hers. In reality, I had become nothing more than her shadow, existing to feed her moods. But this morning, something inside me shifted. She asked me to iron her clothes before work. Normally, I would have leapt to it, hoping she'd reward me with a smile. Instead, I stayed seated, sipping my tea and scrolling my phone. For the first time in years, I ignored her request. She noticed immediately. "Did you hear me?" she snapped. I nodded but didn't move. Her eyes widened. This wasn't the man she knew, the man who jumped whenever she asked. She stormed into the bathroom, leaving her shirt crumpled on the bed, the door slamming behind her. I just lifted my cup and drank in silence. Later, she told me to run an errand for her mother. Usually, I would have gone without hesitation to avoid conflict. But this time, I replied evenly, "I'm busy today. You can handle it." Her expression was unforgettable, confusion tangled with anger, laced with something else. Fear. For the first time, she realized I wasn't her servant. The rest of the day, she tested me with small demands. Bring her water, fix her charger, call the plumber. Each time, I simply said, "Not now," or shook my head. My refusals weren't loud or cruel. They were calm, steady, and final. That quiet defiance carried more weight than any argument I had ever shouted. By evening, the mood in the house was different. She paced restless, stealing glances at me like she was trying to solve a riddle. Finally, she asked, "What's wrong with you today?" For once, I didn't explain. I met her eyes and said, "I'm tired of being the only one fighting for this marriage." Her mouth opened, but no words came out. She wasn't prepared for me to stand firm. She was used to me chasing after her forgiveness, her affection, her scraps of attention. Tonight, I offered none of that. No excuses, no begging, just silence. She tried to drown it out with the TV, with her phone, with anything to look unaffected. But I saw it, the unease in her body language, the panic she couldn't disguise. She wasn't used to being ignored. When dinner rolled around, she asked if I was cooking. I told her I had already eaten out. Her face dropped. For years, I had made sure there was always a warm meal for her. But not tonight. She clattered pans in the kitchen, trying to mask her agitation, but her movements betrayed her. Later, as we got into bed, her voice softened. "You've been distant today. Are you upset with me?" I turned toward her and calmly said, "I'm not upset. I'm just finished begging. I'm done living like I'm the only one trying." She looked at me as though I were a stranger. She tried to defend herself, insisting she never asked me to beg, that I was overreacting. But I reminded her of every time she dismissed my efforts, every moment she belittled me, every kindness she treated as nothing. And she knew I was right. The truth was written across her face. For once, she had no power. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't plead. I simply told the truth and let the silence hang between us. In that silence, she realized she might actually lose me. She rolled away, pretending to sleep. I lay awake, but instead of feeling heavy with despair, I felt lighter. For the first time in years, I wasn't burdened by her approval. I had reclaimed a part of myself, and it felt liberating. What tomorrow would bring, I didn't know. Maybe she would change, maybe not. But one thing was clear. I would never go back to begging. The next morning, I left early. I didn't answer her calls during the day. When I returned home, I handed her an envelope. Inside were separation papers. Her hands trembled as she unfolded them, her eyes wide with shock and fear. She tried to argue, to plead, but I remained quiet. The man who once begged for her love no longer existed. I packed my things slowly as she stood there, helpless. "You will regret this," she whispered. I smiled faintly. "No, I've already regretted staying this long." And then I walked out lighter than I had felt in years. For the first time, I wasn't begging. I was free.